All right, let's just jump right in. From those giant glass stores to the apps on your phone, Apple's design is, well, it's pretty much the most influential in the world. But here's the thing. As more and more companies try to copy that look, a much bigger question pops up. What is the real secret they're all chasing? And believe me, it's way deeper than you think.
And I mean, look at this. This quote tells you everything you need to know about that influence. When Tesla was launching its showrooms, its head of retail, who, by the way, came from Apple, he just said it out loud. He knew exactly what playbook they were using. This wasn't just, a little inspiration. It was a direct copy of a model that was already a massive, massive success.
So let's start with the most obvious part of this whole thing, the Apple Store. It's so much more than just a shop, right? It's become the template that has completely changed what we expect when we walk into a store.
Get a load of this number. Back in 2017, this was Apple's revenue per square foot. To give you some perspective, that is an insane amount of money. It makes their stores one of the most profitable retail operations ever. This proves it's not just about looking pretty, it is a blueprint that gets unbelievable results.
And of course, with that kind of success, everybody wants a piece of the action. You see it everywhere. In McDonald's fancy new stores, in tech showrooms for Samsung and Verizon, and hey, even at Walmart's checkout. The list of brands trying to borrow from this model just goes on and on.
So what exactly are they copying? Well, it's a pretty specific set of ingredients. You've got that clean, uncluttered look, the focus on letting you actually play with the products. You have spaces for classes and events, a help desk that feels less like a repair shop and more like a fancy hotel concierge. And of course, that seamless, no cashier needed payment system. It's the whole formula for a perfect customer experience.
But this brings up a huge question, doesn't it? So many companies have tried to just copy-paste this look, and for a lot of them, it just falls flat. If the blueprint is so clear, why isn't it a guaranteed win for everyone? And this is where we start to get to the real secret.
This quote from retail designer Sergio Menino just hits the nail on the head. See, the success isn't in the fancy wood tables or the giant glass walls. It's successful for Apple because that store is the physical embodiment of what the entire brand is about. It's authentic. It's not just some design trend they hopped on. What everyone else misses is the stuff you can't see, the stuff behind the look.
And that idea, that philosophy, it goes so much deeper than just retail. It's this fundamental way of thinking that's baked into literally everything Apple does, from their stores all the way down to their software.
Okay, this is really interesting. At Apple, they don't even say user interface. The term they use is human interface. And that tiny change in words, it's actually a really big deal. Because think about it. The word user feels kind of cold, right? Clinical. But human, well, human means we're designing for people with all their quirks, their kindness, their compassion. The goal isn't just to make an app that works. It's about serving another human being.
Here's a great way to think about it. Picture an airport. Airports can be super complex, kind of stressful places. That whole system of signs that guides you from the front door all the way to your gate, that's called a wayfinding system. Its entire job is to help you get through this complicated space without getting lost, to make you feel like you know where you're going and that you're safe, even if you're late for your flight. And any great wayfinding system, whether it's in a building or on your phone, it has to constantly answer 3 super basic questions for you. Where am I right now? Where can I go from here? And maybe the most important one, how do I get back or how do I get out of here? If you don't have clear answers to those, you just feel lost and frustrated. And that's the whole point. Great design answers those questions for you instantly without you even having to think about it. The navigation bar at the top, the tab bar at the bottom, those little back buttons, they're all just tools to make sure you never feel disoriented. Every single screen should make you feel confident and totally in control.
Okay, so if the big idea is design for humans, how do you actually do that? Well, it definitely doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of a very deliberate, very rigorous process that's driven by a surprisingly simple idea. This image here really breaks it down. Amazing design doesn't just come from some flash of genius. Nope, it comes from a cycle, a system. You figure out a problem, you build a quick solution, you test it out, you see what works, and then you do it again, and again, and again, refining it over and over.
And this idea of quality is absolutely central to all of this. As one designer explained it, if something has quality, it means nothing about it is random. Nothing was just, slapped together. Every single detail, from the tiny space between 2 pieces of metal to the curve on a letter, it's all intentional. It shows you someone actually thought about it. So what's driving that whole process? What makes someone be so intentional? The answer is incredibly simple. It's care.
As another designer said, that's the number one thing. Did you care enough to make it as good as it could possibly be? And, just as important, do you care about the person who's going to be using it? That feeling of care is something we can actually sense in a product.
So, let's bring this all home. We've looked at the store blueprint, we've talked about the human-centered philosophy, and we've seen the process is driven by care. So what then is the real secret hiding inside the Apple Design Playbook?
First off, let's be super clear about what it's not. The secret is not a shopping list of physical things you can just go out and buy. It's not the minimalist furniture. It's not the specific type of wood or glass. That's all just the surface-level stuff.
The real secret is a deep-down, fundamental belief that the whole point of design is to serve human needs. Not just the practical needs, but the emotional ones too. It's about a commitment to making people feel safe, understood, and empowered. The beautiful design we see, that's just the natural result of holding that core belief.
And this quote just says it all. This is the ultimate goal. When you use something that's really well designed, you can almost feel the thoughtfulness that went into it. You can sense the humanity of the people who made it. And that connection, that feeling that someone, somewhere, actually cared about you and your experience, that is the true sign of something great. So in the end, this is way bigger than just designing apps or stores. It's an entire philosophy. And it kind of leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on, doesn't it? What if everything in our world was designed with this much intention, with this much care? Just imagine that.